Hey guys, welcome to Shelter on Base week 2. Even though we've been sheltering in place for longer than that, this is only our second episode. So welcoming in Therese, she's on this side of me, Anthony and Cole. What's up, guys? How you doing?
I feel like
Hi,
we're
Carmen.
right?
Hello. Yeah, everybody's, even though that's probably not how y'all are seeing us, but that's how we're sitting in relation to each other. And we wanted to talk, obviously, because today is the home opener, or would have been home opener. We're all wearing our Orange Friday shirts in solidarity. Yeah, everybody's
That's
wearing
right.
orange. Exactly. And instead of a home opener tonight, they're going to have a 7 p.m. simulation game of MLB The Show on NBC Sports Bay Area. And the cool part is Crew Kuiper and Amy G will be kind of calling the game and doing what they normally do during a game. So that's pretty cool.
Cole, did you get the inside scoop from your dad as to how he felt about doing a simulated game?
I think the whole just video game aspect is very confusing for a man of his age, but it's pretty cool.
How dare you?
They came up with an idea like this, a way to still get us opening day.
You can't be at Oracle Park, but you can still watch the Giants. You can still watch the Giants on TV, and there's no line for the bathroom, and beers are free in your fridge. So,
boom.
Yeah,
it's the second closest thing that you can get.
Way to put a spin on it. I love that so much.
I'm an optimist.
And as Therese alluded to, we will have Duane Kuiper joining us shortly. But
Kuiper.
Original Kuiper.
Original Kuiper.
This one is 2.0.
Wait, what?
2.0 means better, right? Doesn't 2.0?
Yeah, I think it does. The upgrade.
Yep, the upgrade. You're the newest model.
Yeah. Okay.
But I want to kick it to Therese because you saw something cool on social.
Yeah. Well, some of the players are obviously posting stuff and trying to find stuff to do with their time. And Alex Pavlovich wrote on this because it did get quite some traction from Brandon Crawford, where he decided to create his own B-Craw bracket is what the hashtag was. And he basically put it out there for fans to vote for their favorite Giants player, not best Giants player, favorite Giants player from 1990 to 2009. So players like Buster Posey, who did have 17 at-bats in 2009, still got counted for this. And it was interesting to see the results of how this all panned out, where it basically came down to Buster Posey and Barry Bonds right now. But it had like matchups against Barry Bonds and Will Clark, and Buster Posey and Tim Lincecum, and Pablo Sandoval versus Will Clark. So I thought it was interesting how fans voted, but I wanted to turn it back to us and maybe get our Final Four of who we think should have been in the Final Four bracket. I'll start off. I, grew up during the Will Clark era, and Will the Thrill was my favorite player growing up. I still play videos for that munchkin over there. Yeah.
Oh,
He loves his Will Clark swinging the bat videos. Amy G's been tweeting out some cool videos of Will Clark doing batting off the tee, and that one watches in a trance. So Will Clark would be in my nomination for Final Four. Cole, who would you have?
This is obviously probably not going to be a worldwide pick, but Rob Nen was always my guy. I loved Rob Nen, and I loved that music coming in.
Oh, yeah.
That little toe tap when he pitched.
The toe tap was cool.
That's right. And I was just at that perfect age where, I feel like whatever the closer was when you were at a formative age was always the coolest player because he was a little metal. They had the rock walk-up music before batters really came up to music. They had their own song. And, yeah, Rob Nen was my guy.
I mean, he gave his arm up for a championship.
Right. He
did
it,
it, but he tried. And
I tried.
Somebody who did get a championship for the Giants is my pick. Timmy Lincecum. Big time Timmy Jim.
Woohoo!
Good answer.
I love a good freak player like he is. He's weird. He made a noodle, but he's so good at baseball. It doesn't make sense to me. I was saying I don't have a lot of mainstream players that I like, but he is an underdog, even though he is one of the best Giants to ever wear the uniform. So I'm going big time Timmy Jim.
Good pick.
Carmen, I like you're like the baseball hipster. Like, I like the smaller guys. I like the lesser known guys.
I was watching Brandon Belt before he got big,
Yeah, and I'm the opposite. I'm gonna go completely mainstream. I'm gonna go with Barry Bonds. Loyal viewers of our show know I end every show by yelling out, "Put Barry in the Hall of Fame." Barry's my dude. I really started watching baseball, I think, his first season with the Giants. He had the cool earring, the dangling earring. He had the uppercut swing. He was left-handed. I was left-handed. So I love Barry. Barry Bonds is probably like the fourth most important person in my life of all time. So I'm going with Barry. He's my pick.
Barry's your pick?
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
None of us picked Duane. Oh, hey, Duane.
I'm sorry, Duane.
Can you hear me?
Papa Kuiper, what up?
Loud.
In the house.
All right. All right. This is truly an honor, I have to tell you.
Welcome to the squad.
I mean, I've had some terrific thrills in my lifetime, but this is definitely in the top 10. So I appreciate the invitation. I really do.
Does this rank above playing in a perfect game?
This is better than playing in a perfect game. I mean, I look forward to watching you guys. You know, I try to get home as fast as I can. I got a 45-minute drive after games, and usually I can catch maybe the last 15 or 20 minutes. So I'm not kidding you. I do watch you guys. I like it.
I mean, we've definitely had the opportunity to be watching you on post-game wrap and then have you also in front of us at the same time in the studio. So I can attest that you've been a very loyal supporter of ours.
Also, Duane, Carmen's trying to suck up today. Look at the shirt that she's wearing.
What is it?
Cooking type.
Ah.
Yeah.
Well, it's going to take a lot more than that, Carmen. I got to tell you.
Oh, it's because I picked John and Dave before. I'm sorry, but you did bring me honey mustard, so it's like I can kind of put that aside.
Carmen, I'll get over it. Trust me.
Oh, it'll just take 10 more years. That's cool.
But anyway, I agree with you. I would have picked Lincecum.
Yes, I'm scoring points.
And you know, and I think probably Cole would have too if. But it's too obvious for Cole. Cole's not going to go the obvious way.
No,
but I was
I was unsure if it had to be pre-2009 Lincecum.
Yeah, it was 90 to 2009.
Right.
Yeah. So like when people said Buster Posey, does that have to just be like up for a few months in the big leagues, Buster Posey, or is it all the accolades, Buster Posey?
I think it's all the accolades, Buster Posey. I mean, he technically started his career in 2009, so it's a little bit of like gerrymandering.
Yeah.
But he's part of it. He counts.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Good.
So
Duane, who else would you have, quickly? Who else would you have?
Well, I mean, one of the reasons Cole was a Rob Nen fan is because his dad was a huge Rob Nen fan. I adored Rob Nen. I just thought that he was a great human being, and he did anything you would ask him to do. But you know, Will Clark. I mean, even Barry. I mean, you can't overlook the time frame that Barry had in those years. It's a tough list, but it was a fun list. It was fun to try to predict, you know, who was going to get to the next level, and I really enjoyed it. I did.
So the question we wanted to really dive into today, as we're all dealing with this quarantine situation, I think we saw this somewhere on Twitter. It might have been an original thought. We'll say it was an original thought. Was if you had to be quarantined with one Giants player, who would it be? Current player on the roster right now.
Right.
What do you guys have? Who you guys hanging with for the next indeterminate amount of days?
Well, I'll go with Hunter Pence because I'm slowly turning into a potato and I'm like not working out like I used to. And so I know Hunter would make me run outside in the driveway with him like he's been doing and keep me fit. And also I'm a big gamer too. So we could play games together.
Play games and work out.
Keep it interesting.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with I like to have fun. I like and I think the most fun Giant right now is Pablo Sandoval. You heard the stories about it. His wedding went until 7 a.m. Everyone was wearing panda hats. They served. That's how late his wedding went. So deep into the next day, they served breakfast. So if we're gonna be stuck inside, I want to have fun. So I'm picking the panda.
All right.
Hanging out together too, because I think those two are besties.
Yeah.
My pick is very similar to Carmen's in that I am turning into a potato also. I haven't worked out really in weeks, and I got to go Gabe Kapler because I feel like he could get me into shape like that. You know, he probably has the coolest home gym, and that's what I need right now more than anything else.
I think he's leading team yogas for the guys.
perfect. That's exactly what I need. Get me in on that.
All right.
You'll go with Kapler. So I was originally going to go with Johnny Cueto because I know I would be fed well and I would get to work out a lot. But after seeing a lot of the Crawford posts that are going on during this quarantine, I'm picking Crawford, not because I know I'd be quarantined with Crawford. I'd be quarantined with the whole Crawford family. And there's at least a lot of stuff going on. There's dogs, kids, there's, they're doing scavenger hunts. They're baking, they're having fun. Like that's more my jam. So I picked the Crawford family to be quarantined with.
A lot of activities in the Crawford house.
I like my activities. So much room for activities.
You can be wearing a matching outfit, just like all of them. Part of the Crawford clan.
So
All right, my turn?
Yeah, let's hear it.
Well, we have a big generation gap here.
Okay.
And seeing as how you guys are so much younger, you like activity, you like talking, you like things that are going on. I would take Johnny Cueto for a couple of reasons. One, he doesn't speak English and I don't speak Spanish, and we wouldn't be over talking. And then if we did talk, I could pick up a little Spanish. He hopefully could pick up a little English, and I think it would be a perfect guy to quarantine with, Johnny Cueto.
Would you want to ride the horse, or?
You know what? I was not a big horse guy. I think when I was young, I was on a horse and I fell off, and that was the end of it. So I'm not a horse guy.
But
I can watch him ride a horse.
Get back up on the horse. Come on.
Yeah, I know. I was a wimp when it comes to that.
I'm with Duane. I rode a horse in Mexico once, and it was terrifying. It was the most terrifying experience I've ever had. So, Duane, we promoted on Twitter that you were coming on Shelter on Base. We asked the fans, Giants Twitter to ask you questions. So we have a couple of them. Don on Twitter asked, he says, once this virus mess is over, what's the first task you're going to do? He said he's going to see his parents and go to Lumpia Company. What about you? Once we get the all clear, what's the first thing you're going to do?
Well, I mean, we've been quarantined with obviously my wife, my daughter, Dannon, her husband, the grandbaby. So we've been all been able to hug and do things. What I would do is I would give my son a hug. I miss that guy. I do.
Aww. All right. I think that's Anthony's choice too.
First thing I'm doing is I'm going to race you to him. We'll see who gets there first.
But Anthony, more so maybe the normal things that we took for granted, like a restaurant. Go to a restaurant. You know, I'm dying to go to a restaurant. Yeah. Go sit in Starbucks or Pete's. The normal things that helped our days go by, you know, we can't do that anymore. So that's kind of the way it is, and it's going to get better.
I agree.
This was the Screaming Banshee. Sorry, everybody.
Oh, look who it is.
Good golf swing on that kid.
Oh, thank you. Say thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you waving? Okay. You have pasta all over your face. You want to go watch? Okay. I'll read one of the next questions. Thomas_OB wants to know if you read Joe Posnanski's article about how you were his favorite player and how much grief did Kruk give you about it. Also tell him I miss his voice.
Well, thank you. You know what? I hope people miss our voices because that's what we certainly like to do. I read Joe Posnanski's article, and he's written many, and he's always been super complimentary. And I can't give Mike any grief about it. I can't give Mike grief about much of anything because he's got 4 or 5 more home runs than I do. So that ends any grief given by anybody. That's it.
Okay, I'll read one from Sportsman 2000. What was your favorite game to broadcast? And you can choose from the postseason if you want. And what made you special to call it?
Well, I think the one that stands out the most, it's not a TV game. You know, there's thousands to pick from, but watching Brian Wilson strike out Nelson Cruz in 2010 on the radio with Dave and Mike, ironically, there was a window separating the next broadcast booth where John Miller and Joe Morgan were doing the game for ESPN radio. So all 4 of us were really sitting together but there was a window pane separating us from John. Calling that game for the first World Series in San Francisco history has to be a topper. I don't think anything can top it. Bond's home run, 756, awesome. Kane's perfect game. You know, Ishikawa, all those games were off the charts, including Madison Bumgarner Game 7. But for me, it was the swing and a miss by Nelson Cruz.
All right, we got one more. This is a throwback to your playing days. What was your most memorable, or who was your most memorable at bat against? I think I know the answer, but I'm curious to see if you're saying what I think you're saying.
Well, I mean, look, I hit the home run off of Steve Stone, and it really was the shot heard around the world. This was a bigger home run than Bobby Thompson's home run. It really was. At least in our family. As a matter of fact, if you look around this office, there's, I don't know if there's anything here or not. A chair, the bat, the ball, everything that happened. So that's probably the most memorable one that happens, and we talk about in our house. But I had some great at bats against, you know, the Ryans, the Carltons, the Ferguson Jenkins, you know, the Seavers, all those guys that are in the Hall of Fame. I don't forget those at bats, even though they might not have been successful. But the older you get, the more you appreciate those guys.
You had a few only hits during Nolan Ryan no-hitters, right?
I think I broke up a couple of games where we were in the 7th inning and beyond, where I got the only hit, and he was never that happy about it. I remember him distinctly yelling at the third baseman for not playing closer to the line because I shot one right down the third. Well, maybe didn't shoot it down. I kind of high hopped it down the third base line. But yeah, you know, and I didn't have great success against him, but it was always a massive challenge. Plus, he hit me 3 times.
Man, I know
that I don't forget.
You can get on base, right?
Ooh, I feel like
That
it's hard to swing a bat. I went and did one of those like at bat at AT&T Parks with like sponsors once, and Vida threw me a pitch and it barely touched the grass, and I was like so happy. Oh, I was also using an aluminum bat, so I know it's hard to hit a home run, Duane. I'm with you there.
Well, you know, the difference between baseball and some of the other sports is, and you can get seriously injured in all of sports, basketball, hockey, obviously, you know, in football. But there's one thing about baseball that you can get killed if you get hit in the head, you know. So there's always in the back of your mind that you're going to have to get out of the way of a pitch that somebody is accidentally uncorked. And that's what makes hitting even more difficult than it really is.
Anthony, I know you've had like a burning question.
Oh no.
No, I didn't. So last year on Triples Alley, we took a question from Twitter. It was what is the biggest what if in Giants history? And Cole told the story that I hadn't heard before, and that there's an alternate universe in which you are the longtime Colorado Rockies play-by-play man. And I hadn't heard that story, and it blew my mind. So I was hoping you could tell us the story of your brief dalliance with the Rockies.
Well, in 1992, at the end of the season, the Giants were sold to Tampa. And we were told, the Giants announcers, that we needed to find jobs because we were not going to go. Hank Greenwell was the only one that they were going to take along to Tampa. So what did I do? I got a job. I got a job at the Rockies. I got signed, sealed, and delivered. And then just about 2 days after the ink dried in my Rockies contract, the Giants stayed. They stayed. So now I got a 3-year contract with the Rockies. And thankfully, we had some great people, Harmon Burns and Larry Nibby and a host of the Giants investors said, would you like to come back? And we'll talk to Larry. And I said, would I like to come back? Yes. So I ended up 1 year in Colorado. It was an interesting year.
Because they were an exhibition team, right?
Well, they
or was that their first year? Was that their first?
They were an expansion team. Absolutely.
Yeah. That's what I meant. Yeah.
And and they weren't very good. And the Giants win 103 games. So how do you think I'm feeling in Denver? My family's here. I got 2 little kids. I got a wife that's wondering where's her husband. And the Giants are winning 103 games. And we're losing 115. So was I happy to come back? Absolutely. Absolutely. Good question, Anthony.
Thank you. You thought my question was going to be bad. God, shame on you. I told you I had a good question.
It's a good question.
Thank you, Duane.
We're glad you came back too, and we're really glad that you were able to join us. We definitely want to keep this up, and maybe we'll have you back on at some point. But we miss you. I miss seeing you around the ballpark and, you know, having you scare me every
Throwing
week.
honey mustard at Carmen.
You know,
The thrill of you
before
being mad at me in person.
Well,
so.
you know, the thing I miss most is the 3 hours before the first pitch. I pull into the parking lot at 4 o'clock, and the first pitch is usually around 7. And those 3 hours are so fast. And I see you guys during that 3 hours. And those are the things I miss most. I miss the games, but I also miss that 3 hours. And that's a beautiful dog, and you're a great mom.
I muted her like a bad friend. I was
I
like,
went to mute and it was
I
already
thought she
muted.
muted herself.
no, I muted her.
It's Sesame Street. There's something
But
else
anyway.
that bothers the dog.
I know it's a problem, isn't it?
Yeah. He sees things on the TV. It's weird.
All right. He's a young Will Clark. What are you going to do?
Yeah, there you go.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys. Keep up the good work, and let's stay safe, follow the rules, and then I'll be watching you guys sometime soon, I hope. All right?
Yeah.
All right.
Duane,
Mike
take care.
Cole. I'm looking
Thank
forward to
you.
that hug.
Yeah, soon, I promise.
All right.
you.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye. All right, you guys got anything else you want to cover before we let everyone go?
Oh, he's still there. No, I think I'm good. Is everybody else good?
Yeah, just another reminder, 7 o'clock tonight, NBC Sports Bay Area, the Giants-Dodgers simulation with Kruk and Kuiper and Amy G. It's with MLB The Show. It'll be pretty interesting. So we do have some Giants baseball back.
Yeah, and don't forget to check us out next week again. Friday, we'll be posting a new Shelter on Base. Who knows who the guest will be? We still don't know, but we're going to be
We
hitting up
don't
some
know who the
people.
guest is going to
Yeah,
be.
exactly. But if you have any topics you want us to cover, drop it in the YouTube comments below. And obviously, we'll check those and add them to our agenda because why not? Why not? The show is for y'all. So we'll see you guys next week. All right?
Go Bear in the Hall of Fame.
Bye.
Of course you did. Oh my goodness.
I almost forgot.